Have you ever wondered about the man who threw the most incredible parties anyone had ever seen, yet nobody really knew who he was? Today, we're going to dive deep into that mystery. Using F. Scott Fitzgerald's own words, we're going to try and figure out the truth behind one of the most famous characters in all of literature, the Great Gatsby.
So yeah, who was this guy really? Was he a war hero? A genuine Oxford man? Or were all those whispers about him being some kind of gangster actually true? That's the big question at the heart of this masterpiece. And together, we're going to piece together the answer.
All right, first things first. You can't understand Gatsby without understanding his world. We're talking about Long Island during the Roaring '20s, and it's basically split right down the middle. You've got East Egg, which is all old money, families who have been rich forever. And then you've got West Egg. That's the less fashionable home of the new money, people like Gatsby. And believe me, this wasn't just about where you lived. It was a full-blown social battlefield.
So on this battlefield, what was Gatsby's secret weapon? Well, it was a spectacle unlike anything you can imagine. Let's step inside his world, a world of absolutely legendary parties.
I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Gatsby's parties were almost mythical. People were just drawn to his mansion, like moths to a giant, glittering flame, floating through the night on whispers and champagne.
And the sheer scale of these things, it's just mind-blowing. This was not a few friends getting together. His Rolls-Royce basically acted as a shuttle bus for the city. Every single week, hundreds and hundreds of oranges and lemons were delivered just for the drinks. He had a full orchestra, not just some little band, and it took a team of 8 servants all day just to clean up the mess. This was opulence on a whole other level. It was strategic.
You can just imagine it, right? The air is buzzing with laughter and gossip and music. But it was also fleeting. People would meet and forget each other's names instantly. It was this amazing, vibrant whirlwind of social chaos. But you have to wonder if any of it was real.
And here is the craziest part. Right in the middle of this wild, swirling party, the host himself was a total outsider. Gatsby would just stand there, alone on his steps, watching everyone. He was like the conductor of this massive orchestra, but he never actually joined the dance. So that begs the question, why on earth would you throw these incredible parties if you weren't even going to enjoy them?
That question, right there, leads us away from the parties and toward the man himself. Or maybe it's more accurate to say the myth he built around himself.
So if you asked him straight up, this is the story you'd get. He'd call it God's truth. He's the last in a line of a rich Midwestern family, went to Oxford because, it's a family tradition. But even as he's telling you this, something feels off. The book's narrator, Nick, notices that he kind of rushes through it, like it's a line he's rehearsed 1,000 times. It just doesn't sound convincing.
And to sell the story, he's got props. Oh yeah, he'll whip out a medal for valor extraordinary from Little Montenegro. He's got a picture of himself at Oxford. It's this whole elaborate performance, every piece designed to build this perfect, respectable identity.
But a story that perfect, it's bound to have a few cracks. And if you look closely, you start to see these little hints of something much darker, something that might explain where all that money really came from.
Case in point, we get introduced to his business partner, a guy named Meyer Wolfsheim. This is the man who fixed the 1919 World Series. And his cufflinks, they're made out of human teeth. Yeah, human molars. That one single, chilling detail tells you everything you need to know. This world Gatsby's a part of, this is not old money. A myth that big, a lie that elaborate, it can't last forever. Sooner or later, the truth has to come out. And when it does, it's actually way more profound and way more tragic than any of the wild rumors.
Okay, here it is. His name wasn't Jay Gatsby, it was James Gotts, and he wasn't from a rich family at all. He was the son of poor, unsuccessful farmers from North Dakota. That whole incredible backstory, it was a complete and total fabrication.
So if he wasn't Jay Gatsby, then who invented him? Well, he did. James Gotts did. When he was just 17 years old, he invented the person he wanted to become. The book says he sprang from his platonic conception of himself. He's a self-made man in the most literal sense of the term. He actually made up the man. He was, in his own mind, a son of God, totally devoted to this incredible vision he had for his own life.
And wow, what a vision it was. As a young man, his imagination was just this constant wild riot. He dreamed of a world of ineffable gaudiness. But it wasn't just about being rich. It was about this deeply romantic idea that life could be as beautiful and as magical as you could possibly imagine it to be.
But why? Why do all this? Why invent a whole new person? Why throw the parties, make the money, build the mansion? Everything comes down to one person. The one obsession that was the fuel for this entire spectacular dream.
Her name was Daisy Fay. When Gatsby, back when he was still a young officer named James Gotts, first met her, she was the absolute golden girl of Louisville, Kentucky. Always in white, driving a white car, she was the living, breathing symbol of all the wealth and status and beauty he desperately wanted. He didn't just fall in love with her, he fell in love with the entire world she represented.
And this, right here, this is the real tragedy of the story. After the war separated them, Gatsby spent 5 years building this entire world for one reason and one reason only, to get her back. But in all that time, the idea of Daisy became so much more powerful than the real Daisy. He built up this perfect, flawless memory of her in his heart, a memory that no real person could ever live up to.
So what do we take away from all this? Well, Gatsby's very personal story ends up becoming this powerful and ultimately heartbreaking commentary on the American dream itself.
Towards the end, the narrator, Nick, has this big realization. He figures out that they were all outsiders from the Midwest, all of them chasing something out east, money, love, a thrill. But he decides they all had some kind of moral compass, maybe, that just made them completely unsuited for the careless, destructive world of the Eastern elite.
And Nick connects Gatsby's personal dream, which was symbolized by that famous green light at the end of Daisy's dock, to the original American dream. The dream those first sailors had when they saw this fresh green breast of the new world for the first time. It's this timeless, endless promise of a perfect future, a dream that we are all, in our own ways, still chasing.
And that leaves us with the little poem that opens the whole book. It basically asks, what do you have to do to win the thing you want most? What kind of show do you have to put on? Gatsby, well, he wore the gold hat. He bounced as high as anyone possibly could. But you have to wonder, was the dream he was chasing ever really there to begin with? That's the haunting question at the very heart of The Great Gatsby.